we've been gathering testimonies, gathering tags of people that have gone out there. And Carrie Grace, you've done a fabulous job at sharing things, posting things, and putting the tag on there. And the tag is hashtag Mysterion 5 WKC. That stands for Mysterion, 5 weeks, 5-week challenge. So Carrie Grace, you've done a great job. And also Diane Bone, I'm not sure if she's on yet, but she's done a great job too. And so Diane, thank you. There's been others of you that have posted things here and there. And so thank you for that. Because here's the thing that we know about that is when you post things like that, and I'm saying this, and I'm not really the best at it either, you guys, but when we share things like that and tell our testimony, it just brings the power back up out of the testimony. It brings that power back in again. And so I just wanted to share that. Yeah, Shonda, you're shaking your head. Why don't you share a little bit about that? You're going to have to come off mute, though. Uh-oh. Shonda?
Did I get it?
There you go. Now go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just reminded me of, I think it was Revelations. I don't know the exact address, but we overcome what? By the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I think that every time we speak the word, there's power in that. It's an energy around it that cycles around. It helps us propel up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. So there's people have been sharing about last week's challenge, Shonda, share a little bit about that again, about the sacrifice.
So the last week's challenge, we had a few questions that we had presented to everybody, because you guys know this is Mysterion challenge, right? So the first one was, what is the one thing I could sacrifice that can manifest my healing or bring growth? And the other one was, what is the risk do I need to take to do more of so that I can push through my threshold? Or what do I need to do to get to the other side?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I'm excited about this because it creates movement, right? And yeah, the whole movement with this thing, we can you guys feel the energy of this thing stirring up? And then, with Kirby's new series that he just started, wow. I'm excited. I'm excited about how it's like stirring things up for financial flow when we get there. Which is, hey, Yami, do you want to share about financial flow a little bit?
Sure. So financial flow is coming up in March. It is from the 27th through the 29th, through the 30th, and then 31st we'll have a special Resurrection Sunday service. So financial flow is kind of next level of what we're doing now here with Mysterion, which is very exciting. We have some great speakers that are coming out, and we're going to have a wonderful panel discussion, and it's really taking you to your next level in your businesses, in your personal finances, and just really continue to grow in that and break some of those mindsets to understand what kingdom business and finances look like. So I'm very, very excited about that because that's dear to me.
Oh, of course it's dear to you, because for those of you guys that don't know, Yami's the finance manager for WOWLife World, or WOWLife Inc. And so Yami, thank you for all of your hard work in that. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I have the position that nobody understands.
Right, exactly. So if it appears like Yami's behind the scenes, that's because she's like ticking and tying the numbers and working the numbers in the background. So I appreciate Yami. So, okay. Now, just to give you guys a heads up, so what Yami was saying, and we'll drop the link to the registration for financial flow. But okay, so Yami is the facilitator for tonight's session, and I know it's going to be really good because of, some of the things that she has personally gone through and has gained, or as Kirby's been speaking about breaking through the membrane, gained over this process. in her journey. And this is part of the reason why I've asked, these 5 to lean in and do Mysterion with all of us again, because we all need an upgrade, right? And so anyway, so Yami's our facilitator tonight. And for those of you guys, just really quick, if you weren't on last session, Yami and Omar have chosen to say yes to the call of being the WOW Dallas pastors. And so Yami, I know, right, Muellers? Isn't that awesome? Yes, it is. It is. It's fabulous. So okay, so there's that piece. Now I do want it, speaking of those Muellers down there and whichever box they're in. Next week, Messina is going to be the facilitator, and the Muellers head up WOW Move, and Sean and Messina are in the WOW Move leadership as well as Andrew and Grace. So next week, when Messina, it's her turn to facilitate, we're going to have the Muellers come on and share a little bit about WOW Move, because those of you guys that aren't really all that familiar with the WOWLife World Movement, there's 3 channels to WOW: spirit, mind, and body. And WOW Move is the body channel. And so they're all about getting us to move all of the time. And whenever I, Ann or P, what did you do for your move today, Rose? And I'm like, I did my stairs in my house, or whatever. So anyway, so next week, when it's Messina's turn to facilitate, we're going to have them share a little bit more about, WOW Move. And, but tonight's Yami's turn to facilitate. The other thing that I want to share with you guys is I want to go back and talk about the giveaways again. Okay, so we have, and to those of you guys that have purchased Dr. Carol's, workbook and the transcription and the work that she put into Mysterion, I just want to tell you thank you for, sewing into that work and purchasing, those materials, because it's important to have alongside. And Dr. Carol will share more about that as well. Okay, so we have that giveaway. We also have the full Mysterion teaching giveaway. So for those of you guys that don't have that full teaching, or if you do already have the teaching and you actually win this teaching, then you can, give it away to somebody else. And then the biggie, or maybe I would assume it's the biggie, is the giveaway for the financial flow registration. Now, if you're on here and you're from, South Africa or India or whatever, and you're not going to make the trip to come and spend with us in person, then you will get the teaching. You'll get the live stream teaching for free. That's the giveaway to you guys. Is that incredible? Or that's a fabulous prize, I think. So now, how do you get the prizes? Right, Liz, that is a big deal. Look, Liz is like, yeah, I'll have that. Now, okay, so how do you get these prizes, or how do you get entered into, getting these prizes? You have to do a, like some people, like Shonda posed the challenge last week about, what is your testimony of sacrifice or that sort of thing. Well, guess what? You type up your testimony, or you do a live video of your testimony and you tag it #Mysterion 5WKC. Okay, so it's super easy. So you want to do that. And also what we need you guys to do is we need you to be sharing the financial flow registration. And if you share it from, I know that it's dropped in the mentoring page or on the WOWLife page. If you share it from the WOWLife page, that's perfectly fine. Make sure you tag it though, #Mysterion 5WKC. Okay, so there's that piece. Now, if you drop it on your personal page too, that's really good because it goes out further. And there's more people that are, going to look into this just because of the uncertainty right now in the whole financial arena, and we want to spread the gospel. So anyway, so there's my intro, but now I want to hand it over to Yami, and you guys, let's get on with session 2. So thank you for joining us, and Yami, have at it.
So I want to say thank you to everyone. I'm really excited about the session because this is dear to our hearts. I actually, after I was preparing for it, I was like, oh, I should have just told Omar to do this with me, because this is something that we've really been focusing on, not only in our lives, but even as we start preparing for our group in Dallas and meeting with them and just going deeper into his word. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play the video. I want you guys to listen to it. It's about 20 minutes, but that really in those 20 minutes, it's the bulk of what he's teaching. And then I'll go deeper into that. So I hope you guys enjoy.
But the angel that is being given to me, who is employed for this, is very personally mine, and it was one of my first angels who the Lord revealed to me, who helped me out with my finances. Okay, so and now he's going public today. Okay, so that's really cool. So I'm excited for him, really. They don't understand the amount. They have no concept of quantity. You must understand that. So if they give you $50 or $500, they have no clue about quantities in that realm. They don't understand quantities. And so you see that when I do the phones and money coming into phones, people get $50, $5,000, $20, $5.
Okay, sorry, Yami. I thought it was session 2. Which one are you looking for?
It is session 2, but is Jesus a famous one?
This is it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Should I change it?
No. That's okay. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, everyone.
Inside of me, and it resonated so well at that point of time that everything I had, every gifting that I already had in me, just started increasing. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I want you to know that the Bible constantly says, and today's the teaching is the famous one. Okay, and why am I talking about that? Because the word fame and the word glory are the exact thing, and you must understand that in the Bible, in the old days, the word fame and glory are the same things. And you see, when you understand glory, you have to understand fame. Fame and glory are one and the same. But fame is not like you're famous in today, you're famous to be on TV or on news or something like that. That's also a part of it. But the fame means that it had the ability to spread. It had the ability to increase. It had the ability. It's a special substance that was glorious. That it had the ability to maybe take on much more. And so the Bible talks about it like yeast. The kingdom of God is like a yeast, that it can suddenly be one, but before one, there's so many. And so that is what happened to Christ, isn't it? That's why he's famous, because what he had suddenly became many, and he's known, and his name is known. And that's the character of the unfading glory. And so they call that characteristic. And we don't think of glory or fame in that way, but they call that characteristic unfading. That means it's constantly ever increasing. No one can stop it. What started with the Old Testament, with the Jews, and then it started with Jesus in the New Testament, is ever increasing. You cannot stop it. It's constantly propelling. It's constantly increasing. And that character is what Christ brings on every area of your life, including your finances, including your character, including your relationships, including your influence, this quickening process. So the glory that characterizes Christ, Yeshua, is very much an increasing, never fading glory. And so therefore immortality, long life, healing, all these things come into this realm, because that's one character in his glory. Now, why am I telling you this? Because when the Bible talks of glory, it says it's very straight, and I can't believe people have missed it. It says that his glory covers all the earth. And that's a really interesting concept. And many times with the Jews, he's negotiating with the Jews so that the Jews will choose him, and a few choose. As he's negotiating this, like he's negotiated my life from my young days, what happened was the Jews constantly chose, and then in another day they chose someone else, and then they go back to him. And so he calls the Jewish, the Israel people, literally, like he calls them harlots, and I think that was his a fond name for them in a sense, you know, because they're constantly in and out of really committing to Him. And so what happened was but He tells Israel, He says, but don't worry, I want you to know my glory covers all the earth. And that verse comes from a place in Isaiah that says, and remember we're talking of the famous one, okay? And I just give you a foundation of what I'm going to go into, and it'll amaze you when you see what I'm saying, okay? So you see, when the glory when He says His glory covers all the earth, you know, people don't get it. What He's trying to explain is, don't you understand that my glory covers all the earth? My glory covers all the earth. And it comes from Isaiah, where the angels are saying, the angels, the seraphs are looking down, okay, from the throne of God, and they're looking down on the earth, and they're looking at the earth, and they're saying to God, and looking at the earth and saying this, and this is why it's so important that you understand it. What is rare is everywhere. That's the slogan, okay? So He's looking at the earth, and He says, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. His glory covers, or the whole earth is full of the Lord's glory. That's what it says there. But if you really look at what it's saying, and if you break it down into the Hebraic, you'll realize what it's saying. The angels are amazed at this, and this will blow you away. And what they're amazed about is that the earth is so diversified, and that diversity, okay, that fullness of the diversity brings God glory. And that, once you know that, it'll blow you away, because that's what God is trying to explain. He's trying to say, look, you must understand, the whole earth is full, and therefore that's glory. So if you understand, when I look at all the earth, He says the whole earth is full, and therefore that's glory, okay? And so you'll realize that when you come to the things of God, you have to be, the greatest mistake that I see many people make, and something that I make, but I make quite rarely, is, and this is a little secret of mine, if you understand authority, power, anointing, how I can move with things. I can go and hang out with a person for 5 minutes, and they can tell me that person was multiplying something or doing something or doing that. I just need 5 minutes with that person. I say, show me the person. If it's real, and if it's not real as well, but I can't go there now. That's 5-day program stuff. But if it's real, it happens much easier. If it's not real, I have to analyze it, and then I can get to it. But if it's real, what happens is I just need 5 minutes with that person, and in that 5 minutes, I'll walk away with his fame. Think about that for a moment. And there's a cartoon character called Kirby, who is now, he's in the in the animation world. Kirby is a big deal. Okay, you can search him out on Google. And Kirby's distinct character, and everything is motifs upon motifs. Kirby's distinct character, he's one of the most known Japanese animated cartoons. And Kirby's distinct character is the ability to draw the gifts of others. Think about it for a moment, and then you'll understand why Kirby at this moment of time has come into the church, and why Kirby is teaching you, and why I'm telling you that what I'm teaching you now is one of the most powerful things that I believe I have. If I can tell you what is a secret of yours, there are many, but one of my secrets is my ability to discern the glory. So this I've said many times, and if you watch me from my young days, when I do glory meetings, I know when the glory changes. So I know when it's the glory for gold teeth. I know when it's the glory for phone charges. I know when it's the glory for the transfer of money. I know when it's the glory for healing. I know when it's the glory for healings of cancers. I know when it's the glory of the healing for hearts. I know when it's the glory for the healing of just knees and also of just fingers. I know when it's the glory of healing of fingers. And also I know when it's the glory when it's the gold tooth or when it's a silver tooth. I also know that glory as well. So why do I know the glories? And this is so important, because 1 Corinthians 15 says it like this. It says it, there's the glory of the sun, there's the glory of the moon, there's the glory of the stars. And what he's trying to explain to you, he says, don't you get this? That there are different types of glories, and the fullness of that is God's glory. Okay? So once we understand that, you'll understand why when the day of Pentecost had fully come, when that happened, and when the divided tongues, divided being the key word, of fire came on individually, you realize that there were different tribes and different tongues and different people there, because the whole earth, the fullness of it, makes God's glory. Okay, so that is why we're called the body of Christ. And I'm teaching on this, so many times in this season. You heard Philip speak yesterday, you heard Fiona speak, and you hear many more speakers speak. And why WOW is WOW is because of diversity. Okay, that is why we distinctly understand the glory of different people, that different people have different fames, that different people have different individual abilities and giftings and unique expressions. Okay, and this is what makes the glory of God. Now, and when I say that, it's the ability to discern the right weight at the right time, and it's not just people. Everything has glory. For instance, death has a glory. Okay, sickness has a glory. Disease has a glory. Okay, bad things that you think, you'll be amazed that they carry a weight of glory. And so if you understand how to process it, what you do is you start extracting the glory in every circumstance. And what happens is now the Son of Man is glorified. Okay, so you're getting mantle after mantle after mantle after mantle. Now, why am I saying that? Because I'm going to bring this mystical concept into a practical realm. So for instance, like when I was born, when Kirby Lanerolle was born on the earth, I had a unique expression. And this unique expression, what happened is when I met Jesus, my unique expression increased. Okay, that's all. It wasn't like Jesus gave me something new. Okay, this is important for you if you're watching me right now, because what happens is you distinctly have a fame and a glory knitted, like Philip taught yesterday, knitted in in your mother's womb. Okay, you were wonderfully created. Okay, the word wonder there, you can connect it to wonder workers. You were created with a wonder inside of you, already placed inside of you was a wonder, was a powerful force. Okay, and then life happens to you. And when life happens to you, what happens is this expression, this unique expression, is sometimes curtailed. It is inhibited. It can be, it can sometimes never ever come out to a person's lifetime. Okay, and what Christ does is he brings out a reconciliation, and what he does is he brings out that spirit, which is which is the glory. Okay, which is Christ, and it starts coming out of you, and you come into your full expression. You can never have my expression. It is not possible. But you can have, when I lay hands on you, you can have your unique expression ignited and coming out. You see? And that's what is beautiful. And this fullness in the saints causes a powerful glory. And what does this have to do with finances? And I'll tell you exactly what it has to do with finances. One of the most important things in life is when people are not valued according to their weight. Now, it's in I think it was in Ecclesiastes 4. It says that the children of Zion, and I would just understand we are called the New Jerusalem, okay? Or by that time they're talking of the Jews at that time. Say the children of Zion were worth their weight in gold. Just get that. The children of Zion were worth their weight in gold. That's like a rhyme, right? That's really hard. Okay, so did you just get that? Okay, I mean they were worth their weight in gold. Okay, now what does that mean? The word glory comes from this ancient word kabod, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now that word kabod means weight. So now you got the expression. Ecclesiastes, one of the most ancient books writing, they were worth their weight in gold. So what happened was the word glory comes like this, because when kings wanted to honor you, they would pay you your weight in gold. Okay, so now we've got a match to why we say glory, because it means there, if you want to literally put it, now we're not getting to finances, now you're getting to understand why I'm talking about this stuff. Okay, it means they're worth their weight in gold. Okay, now once you understand that, you'll realize that your ability to discern a glory in a situation is worth its weight. Think about that for a moment. So once you understand that every situation is worth its weight, every person is worth its weight. Now that doesn't mean, please understand, that doesn't mean we go judging people. We're not judging, but we are evaluating. And it's so important to evaluate, guys. I mean, I'll tell you, Jesus comes and he says, you know, I'm not here to talk about my glory. He says, it's the glory that the Father has given me, and the Father and the Spirit will testify to this glory. You just get that. And he comes as the Son of Man. And he's not coming to talk about him being this glorious being. He's talking about man, your glory. that the Father and the Spirit will testify to your glory. I don't have to talk about my glory, and I hope that my glory will be testified in your heart. You see, my weight will be testified in your heart. Now that's what is important. And when you say, I believe in Jesus, what it means is, are you giving him his weight? Did you just get that? And so then he also says, why Nazareth happened is because they call it Nazareth syndrome. What Nazareth syndrome is when people become familiar and they don't know how to weigh a certain person. And therefore, they say, oh, isn't this the carpenter's son? But his fame, they say his fame had spread. Fame means his glory had spread. Okay? But when they come to Nazareth, their hearts were closed. And because their hearts were closed, they did not know, you take a weighing scale, and you have a weight on one side. Okay, they did not know to put the weight on one scale to bring it up to a balance so that they can have something. You see? And that's what happened in Nazareth. And so even though Jesus was the most, I mean, you can imagine the most glorious prophet that has ever come in, and he challenges, I think it was in Matthew, I'm not sure, Matthew 20 or something like that, he challenges people, and this, if I tell you that God tests you in something, this is where he tests you, okay? This is where he tests you. So, not to punish you, but because he wants you to get that weight. Weight brings weight. Okay, honor brings honor. Simple. Okay, and so because he wants you to get it. So what he tells them, he looks at Jerusalem and he says, you know, when Jonah preached, Nineveh repented. He explains this to them. He says, but now someone, and you can see the plea in Jesus' heart. You know, Prophet Kirby used to always say this. Yeah, he used to say it like this, and I used to feel right, like when he used to say it, I used to feel really bad because you know when he walked the earth.
All right. So that was, I think, loaded information. So I'm gonna, as I was listening to it, it just kept reminding me of, you know, the process I've been through to understand my unique expression. So I'm gonna share. So yesterday, me and Omar, we went out and we had a date day, and I live in Houston, and we're at the park, and we're sitting there and we're just observing, you know, the crowd. And we're listening to all these different languages and all these, you know, different cultures and this uniqueness in people. And we were like, wow, this city is so, you know, there's so much diversity in this city. And so then, you know, and I had already listened to his video. So then I sit today and, you know, I'm reflecting on the video again, listen to it one more time just to make sure, you know, I captured everything. And it reminded me of that, of how amazing it is, that diversity of people. But then I also had to sit down and reflect and remember how amazing my diversity is and my uniqueness. So, you know, I'm going to share this. So for many years, you know, as you guys have heard, I'm an accountant. And, you know, when people hear accountant, you get this image of what an accountant is. And I used to try and fit that mold. And it was really hard for me to fit that mold because, as you can tell, I don't fit the mold of what people think an accountant is. But I did try and do that for many years. And I kept saying, okay, this is such a boring, you know, thing. What could I possibly do with this? And I have such a passion for God. And, you know, how can I serve people being an accountant? And I always wanted to do something for God. I knew that I was called to ministry. And God said, but that is your uniqueness, because you understand something that many people don't. That is part of how I made you. That is part of your expression. And through my accounting is how I have served ministries. Through understanding that it's okay, that understanding numbers is a form of ministry for people and being able to help them through it. So when he's talking about the glory and the diversity on earth, and that diversity gives God the fullness of who he is, it really made me reflect, because this earth needs a Yami, this earth needs a Liz, this earth needs a Dr. Carol, this earth needs a Michelle Sparks. That uniqueness of us coming together, it makes me keep thinking about the body. That everybody is either a hand or a toe or a nail or a finger or a nose. We need that uniqueness of each person to come together to form God's glory, to form that body. And for so long, I wanted to fit a mold because I thought that that's what I had to do, right? I had to be the mold of this person, but I was born to be Yami. I was born to be a unique expression of God on earth. And it's been such an amazing journey to figure that out in my life and to see that and to see the growth of what's happened with me and my husband and even my friends around me. Even as I think about WOW in the past 3 years, and for those of you that I know you, and that the relationships that we've built, when I see how that unique expression has come out in us to fully start stepping into our full expression. And so the glory of God is in us, okay? We are a piece of that glory. So we are all born with a uniqueness, but when you step into understanding who Jesus is in your life, that spirit within you, that uniqueness starts to abound. It starts to grow. It starts to reflect in people's lives. It starts to reflect in your finances. It starts to reflect in your home, your relationships, your marriages, your relationships with your children. But we have to understand our uniqueness. We have to understand that we carry the glory, that who we are within. So I'm going to take a couple minutes. I would like for a couple of you to share. I shared how one of my uniqueness is understanding numbers and how I've been able to pray and help ministries with accounting. I would love for a couple of you to share. What is one of the unique expressions of yourself that you have come to understand as you've come to understand who you are in Christ? So if you would like to share, just go ahead and put the raising the hand. What is that, Rose? What is that called?
Yeah, there you go, Sue. It's in the reactions, you guys. If you haven't used
Okay,
it before, it's at the bottom of the screen under the reactions. It'll say raised hand.
yeah.
Okay.
So go ahead, Sue. I would love to hear from you.
You know, I'm a creative, and for a long time, I wasn't sure how my Christian beliefs could fit in with other creatives because I'm in the theater, singing, dancing, you know, directing, acting, all that stuff. And I discovered probably in the last 20 years that God made me who I am because I can relate to so many different people in different ways. And then all of a sudden, the Lord sends me and my husband to Japan. I panic. Lord, how am I going to relate to these people? Well, I did 4 gospel concerts while I was in Japan. And I was able, through an interpreter, to be able to sing and to do little skits and give my testimony in a comedic way that they could understand. Coming back to the States, I felt so oppressed I didn't know how I could do the same thing, but discovered that he gave me an outlet of just being me to those in the theater, because people, us theater people, we are a people group. And my experience that I had in Japan for a little over 2 years helped me in running a theater, producing, directing, and being involved with more people than I could even imagine that were so creative and be able just to be Jesus to them. that was being me. Because who I am, Jesus comes right along with me. He's right here. He's a part of me. And you love on him and you just be yourself. And I have one gal who actually became a Christian probably 15 years afterwards when I shared with her. But she's now a part of my meditation on Mondays group. So, you know.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Sue.
Mhm.
And that's exactly it. You know, through our unique expressions. So even sometimes in the way we communicate is unique, right? So for instance, I'm a very direct person. I'm not afraid of conflict. I do like to resolve things with people. I do like to talk to people. And that is a unique expression of me, to where when I communicate with Rose, Rose likes to pull it out of you. She asks you the questions and she makes you process the question and process what she wants you to be aware of the process yourself. And even in that, there's a uniqueness. So we have Jesus, right? And Jesus did so many amazing things on earth. I mean, you know, we read it, he healed. There's so many examples of what Jesus did when he was on earth. But we weren't meant to be Jesus. We were meant to carry Christ in us and be our unique selves. Okay. And there's so many times that's like, oh, you know, be like Jesus. Well, he came at a different time. He came at a different moment. He did different things. Now it's the Christ in us that brings out our uniqueness. It is a Christ in us that helps us to grow, to show people who we are. And through that uniqueness, we do reach people. So then he goes into the second part, which is how we carry a weight in gold, right? We are measured by that weight in gold. And I started thinking, okay, gold. Well, what is gold, right? It's a precious stone. It has a weight. It has a value to it. If you have it, you understand how precious it is. You keep it, you value it. Well, that's what each one of us is. But then he took it a step further, saying that when we become familiar with people, we tend to forget their weight in gold. And so, of course, what more familiarity, wow, that was a tongue twister for me, than my husband. Okay, I've been with Omar for 16 years. We know each other very, very well. We can finish each other's sentences, we can finish each other's thoughts. And it is so easy for me to forget his weight in gold. It is so easy for me to forget his uniqueness because we are so familiar with each other that when I see him, I do not always see the Christ in him. I do not always see his weight in gold. I do not always see how precious he is. And this made me really reflect on that. It made me reflect on my friendships. It made me reflect even my relationship with Kirby and Fiona. Have I become so familiar with people that I have not seen their weight in gold? I have not seen their glory. I do not see their uniqueness. I just see what I'm familiar with. And the thing is that when we're familiar, we put a lens to it. We put an expectation to it. We put a value to it. We forget that they are needed in our lives because that is exactly who they are. Just like we are full expression, so are those around you. So are those that we will meet, even those that are difficult to be around. There is a weight in them that we do not see. So I was thinking back when I was in Sri Lanka, there was a situation that happened with Kirby. And, oh, you know, me and Omar, our reaction was like, well, Kirby, you know, how do you deal with that? And he said something to us that will always forever be in our hearts. He said, sometimes we don't have the heart for the person, but we know that God does. See, God understands his glory in these people. He says, so I pray every morning that if there's someone I do not have a heart for, that he gives me the heart. And then and either that, or he will show me someone that does. And that for me made me reflect on this lesson when we're talking about others, when we're talking about their unique expression, when we're talking about their weight in gold. See, we may not always see it. We may not always have the heart for people, but that Christ in them is there. That full expression of his glory is there. And so I'm going to open up the panel. I would love to hear from you guys on what full expression means to you, because I know it's a loaded question, but someone's going to share something that I didn't think of. And that is where that uniqueness comes in, right? Because here's a perfect example. If there's a car accident, we've all heard these examples. If there's a car accident and there's 5 people in the car accident, everyone's going to share a different side of that car accident because they saw it in their own unique lens. They saw it through their own glory, and they saw it through their own interpretations. Well, full expression is the same way. We are all unique, and we're going to see each other in unique ways. And I'm gonna use Michelle. Sorry, Michelle, but I'm gonna put you out there. Me and Michelle were really good friends, right? I see Michelle in a way that someone else that doesn't know her very well might not see her. But it's because of our friendship. And it's also because we're familiar. Hi, Joe. And it's also because we're very familiar with each other. But I can't forget her weight in gold. I can't forget how unique she is. I can't forget that the glory of God is in her. So I would love for anybody to share about what full expression means to you, or an example of how you've seen in your life or with someone else's life. So again, if you would like to share, just go ahead and hit the reaction button with a raising of the hand, and then we'll call you one-on-one. And also facilitators, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear from you as well. Let's all not just jump at once, guys. And while we're waiting, okay, Dr. Carol, I'll call you in 1 second, but while we're waiting, can we all cheer for Linda? It is her birthday today. Happy birthday, Linda. We love you. I know she came in late. All right. So Dr. Carol, go ahead and share, and then we'll call on Donna.
I just wanted to share when you were talking about that, Yami, it reminded me of something that happened probably 30 years ago. And it's a lesson like you. I never forgot it. I was sitting in church, and there was this young woman, and she was up on the platform singing. And my thought was, I don't like her. I just don't like her. And all of a sudden, it was like I was in a box. And I thought, oh, I don't think God liked that. And what he said to me was, why don't you ask me to show you something about her to love? And I did. And he did. And I wound up having just an absolutely delightful relationship with this young woman. But I only saw what my eyes saw. And Yami, we're called to be much more than that. We are called. We are the sons of God. We are called to see the Christ in each and every individual, born again or not yet. And so what we do is we do look at people with our natural eyes, but he tells us we can't see with the carnal. We have to see with the spirit. So thank you for bringing that up, Yami. That was absolutely poignant.
Thank you. And just add a little bit more to that, you know, if we can remember when we see people that they carry his glory, that they are here on earth because they are part of that glory. And that's what causes a fullness, right? That's how his fullness is on the earth. That's what Kirby was sharing. that it's each individual person on this earth is what is part of his glory, and that's what creates the fullness. So we may not always understand it, we may meet people not understand it, but he does. So, all right, Donna, go ahead and share.
Thank you. I had an incident that happened. Actually, it was an experience, a good thing that happened Wednesday. I'm a part of a Bible study, and at the end of the study, there were only about 8 of us there that day. And one of the ladies that I don't know her very well, it's in the study, she was kind of weepy that day. And she said something towards the end of the study, and she said the scripture about you do what you don't want to do and you don't do what you want to do. And she said it in almost a self-condemning way. That's how we all took it. And so the leader of the study said, I think this day is for you, and we are supposed to minister to you. And she didn't want us to. She said, oh, no, I don't want to take away from the rest of the Bible study. And she said, no, God has set this day aside for you. And so we surrounded her, and the other ladies, they would probably get really weirded out by Kirby and all this. So that explains a little bit about where they are. But they were praying for her, and I kind of stood back, and they prayed, and the Lord started showing me some things. And so they finished praying, several of them, and the leader looked up at me and like, I know you have something. And and the first thing I'd heard was to purify silver. And the Lord said, so I told her this, I said, the Lord said to purify silver, and you are concentrating on the dross. And he says he's taken the dross away. And then I explained how silver is purified, and that the silversmith has to see his face in the silver. And I said, Jesus sees your face in the silver. There was another word for her, and I gave it to her. And then I stepped back, and the other ladies came in and started ministering to her again. And then the Lord said, I want to dance with her. And so, and I don't know this woman very well at all. And I went to the leader and I said, will you put a song on? And so she did. And I went up to Wendy, was this girl's name. I went up to Wendy and I took her hands, both of her hands in mine. And I said, the Lord asks if you'll have this dance with him. And she just looked at me really kind of scared. Her eyes just got huge. And I said, no, he wants to dance with you right now. I said, I really don't dance well, but he does. And so I pulled her up off of the couch, and I just put my arms around her like a bridegroom would his bride. And she grabbed a hold of me, and we just kind of swayed to the music. And after a while, I thought, she's probably getting uncomfortable and I should let go. And so I kind of loosened a little bit. She grabbed a hold of me and just wouldn't let go of me. And we continued on for a while longer. And then finally we released. And she texted me later and she said, I have never experienced God before that time. I'd never experienced the love of God. And she said, I could have held on to you forever. So I don't know if that fits what you're saying, but I honored her for her weightiness for who she is in Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's beautiful because, your glory was connected to hers. What your expression your spirit connected to her spirit. And so you were able to honor her because, even part of our expression is those tough moments. We may not always understand them at the moment, but when we look back, even when I think of all my hardships, that is part of my uniqueness, and that's part of who I am now. So thank you for sharing that, Donna. Verna, before I take Aaron, I think you had your hands up. So if you'd like to share, and then we'll go with Aaron. I know the mute button is hard. Okay, so Verna, I'm gonna go ahead and
Oh
take,
my
oh, there you
goodness,
go.
it took forever. It wouldn't, my finger couldn't work the doohickey. But I'm so honored to be here tonight and have this conversation with you all. I have had the most incredible weekend that I can remember. I mean, God is just putting me out there on full display, y'all, in this region. And it is just, I'm trying not, my heart feels like it's going to explode. I went from, you all, I work in governmental circles, and Linda's here. I live near Cedar Creek, and I have favor in this region like it is just unreal. Okay. And I had a speaking engagement yesterday. It was a political event and about why getting women to vote. Okay. So I did that. And then today I was in a fashion show, I thought, for one of my daughter friends in the community to honor her and wearing a piece of her jewelry. Well, I have no idea that the community has this thing planned to honor me. I didn't really, I invited my kids, but nobody showed up. My husband came, and I thought as she was introducing me to come walk the runway, oh my God, she went into a full, she's a poet, and she went into a full honoring me as an elder in the community. And I'm still in shock about what just happened this evening. And I've grown up through a lot of trauma and a lot of harsh rejection and all the things many of us have in this group. That's why Kirby says he knows what kind of people are being attracted to this movement.
So, Verna,
He
as you're
knows what he's
sharing,
working with.
yes, as you're sharing, it makes me think of what he said about fame, right? That he said,
Yeah.
and I'm reading my notes really quick. He said, fame is having ability to spread, increase, and take on much more.
Yes.
And
And
so,
that's
and
exactly what is
that is part of your legacy, your fame, your uniqueness. And that's why you're having those moments of honor.
it is just unbelievable. My mind is just completely blown. It is so exciting to be in this movement today. I have never felt more alive in my life. This is so exciting. We cannot lose with the juice we use.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
telling
with you.
you. This is
I honestly never thought that I would be a pastor, and here we are. So, and it's because of this move, right? Because that's what Kirby's constantly showing us. He listens to God, and he's constantly pulling us. If you listen to every single message, it is all about pulling our full expression in Christ. Everything he leads us to is about our full expression. And so,
and
thank
one
you,
last
Verna.
thing.
Yeah, go for it.
One last thing, real quick. I was in the shower, and he said, and I was singing, and it was like the Lord, Holy Spirit said, stop taking notes. I was like, what? How am I going to hold on to this stuff about it? Stop taking notes and trust that you're receiving the impartation as the word is being released. And then don't try to do it the way it's being taught. Allow me to work it out in you and through you.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
That is, and it's just so scary. It's like, I got to control this. I got to have my notes. Is it red? Is it green? Is it purple? It's,
Yeah. Yes,
what's so,
thank you,
thank
Verna.
you.
I
It's
appreciate you
amazing.
sharing with us. Thank you. All right, Erin, you're up. Gorgeous.
Thanks. So two things. There was just a recent thing that happened with my sister-in-law where I had unknowingly said something that had really offended her. And I didn't know. And it was actually kind of interesting how Holy Spirit was looking out for me, because she sent a text message to her husband that was meant for him to see about me. And I was like, oh my gosh, who would have done that to you? And she was talking about me. And she's like, oh, I'll talk to you in a little bit. And so I just kind of processed it with God. And I was able to like really clear up the situation and be like, hey, I did not mean it in that way, and just kind of sweep my street and basically come at what she was offended by and make it like null and void because of what, like, my response. Basically, there was nothing she could push against me. But in the process of that, like, I was so tempted to become offended with her and be like, how could you so easily think so ill of me? And I kind of felt justified in that thought. And then I felt like Holy Spirit said, Erin, why do you think you're so much better than she is? Like, you've located her and now you've accused her. Don't do that. You have to see the gold in her. You have to give her allowance for who she is and where she's at, and that's okay. But don't devalue her just because she became offended with you and that you feel like you have a right to be offended. Don't elevate yourself above her, but just receive her where she's at. And that was something that really kind of hit me as like, oh, I don't get to, in a sense, get to be better than other people just because I have a deeper understanding of who God is and who God's made me to be. I still get to see her as a unique creation of God and to give her her weight, even if right now she is living at a place of maybe less maturity or less understanding in who God's created her to be. I can still see the value in her and I can still love her and move on from that situation and allow us to continue to have a relationship. And then the other thing that I ran into was sometimes I work as an election judge, which is just working at the place where people cast their votes for the elections. And it's a neutral space, but it's also a very defined space because you have to have Republicans and Democrats working together, and you literally have to set your differences aside, and you have to work at, like, in that situation, I identify as a Republican and I have to work with a Democrat. That's how the elections work. And just seeing how in that very defined and yet neutral space, you learn to see people for who they are. And there were several people that I was like, wow, in a different situation, we would not get along. But I see you and I value you as a person, even though I know that you are like opposite. You could be opposite to me in a political sense anywhere else. Right now, we're both choosing to set that aside and to value each other. And it was such a cool experience. And I have some really good friends. I mean, I wouldn't say really good friends, but enjoyable relationships when I work with these people, because I've been able to learn how to value somebody, not based on their political stance, but on the person themselves, and just seeing them as a person, not seeing them as a political party. And it was just a unique experience that I really value and I really appreciate, especially with there could be so much turmoil in the world today between the two different parties, just to be able to value people for people and be like, no, this is what it's all about. Is trying to find that balance and to see past our differences and just value people as a person. So.
And that's exactly it. Thank you for sharing that, because even in these moments it's so difficult. There's so much debate, so much argument, about one side versus another side. It's even not stepping into that, but truly seeing their weight in gold, and like I said, it's easy when it's someone you love, But it's harder when you don't know someone, but he does. He knows who they are. He sees them. And if we can always remember that, I think it'll help us as we get to know more people. And remember, even with your sister-in-law, the way you handle things, your expression is gonna reflect to her, and she's gonna pick up on that. And you just never know what that Christ in her could be picking up and could be exposing to her. So thank you, Erin, for sharing. All right, Liz, you're up.
Thanks, Yami. I was just thinking about, I love the question. It's like, what does your full expression mean to you? And I was just thinking how, okay, sometimes there can be a struggle thinking about what is my full expression. Is that just like, do what I like, say what I like, stick it on the table without regard to people's feelings, or, just like, is it me at my unrestrained? Or is it something more? And I'm thinking, no, it's not me unrestrained. It's to me, it feels like that I feel more authentic. It's kind of, there's this truth and there's authenticity, and it's not something put on, but it's like this, this truth that comes out. I don't mean words, but authenticity that comes out, and that people pick up on. And I think it's got so much more power because your full expression is I mean, if Christ is bringing that out, that's kind of like the best that I've got. It's not the garbage, it's the the crappy stuff. it's the part that was destined, and I just thought also Pam and Verna, what they were saying, I really liked that, about the impartation and that, and what Verna said with God had said to her, allow me to work it out in you. And I thought that's true too, because allow me to work it out in you. That's the diversity, because like, who better than God to know how to work out something into me as compared to somebody else. Like we all have our ways of receiving something, being able to process something, and it's like, God will do it in the way that, in our language, in our exact language. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Liz. I'm gonna, and Susan, we'll take you next. I'm just gonna share something really quick. So something that really, when Kirby was speaking, he said that that there's a unique expression and a full expression in every aspect of our lives. And then he mentions finances, healing, our character, our relationships, even our influence. There's a unique expression in that. And so when you're thinking, right, because one of our homework is to think about what our full expression means to us, think about every aspect. It's not just, even in your finances, what unique expression do you have, even in your finances, even in your relationships, in your character, in your influence, in your workplace? In every aspect of our life, there is that unique expression. His glory is in every aspect of our lives. It's not just in what we say or what we do or we look like or the way we think, but it's in everything. And I love how he said that there is, even in the situations, when we have situations with someone, there's a value. It is to be evaluated of what the worth is in the gold. What even that situation is worth in gold. So, okay, Susan, go ahead and share.
Oh, thank you so much. I just, for my entire life up until recently, the past few years, have really resisted being my authentic self. Liz was talking about being authentic and the power of one's authenticity and the influence that one can have and the impact that one can have when they're truly flowing in their authenticity and their uniqueness and individuality. And I'm beginning to see that. And I've resisted so much because I have always only wanted to be a wife and a mother and a loving friend, and I want to just mother people and see them fulfill their potential. But I've resisted it because I didn't know how that would, come about other than actually being a physical parent. And the Lord introduced me to breath work several years ago, and I'm really finding that I really express myself as a mom, as a loving mom and a caring mom in that way to the people who are called to me. So even though in my understanding of what that was like, because it was so contrary to being a powerful woman in my mind, and certainly in the mind of those in my upbringing, friends and colleagues, kind of they never really upheld that as something to aspire to. And Kirby's point about everything has a glory, including death and sickness and those things that we tend to scandalize, just reinforces that what I truly love, the way that I express my unique authenticity, I have scandalized it and resisted it. And now that I'm beginning to walk in it and embrace it, that I'm being fulfilled in so many ways and influencing people in ways, in much more impactful ways than when I'm doing what I think I should be doing. So yeah, that's what I've learned. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to share a little more. So as I was listening to this, right, and I'm thinking about unique expression, I started thinking about once you start to understand, once you start to really step into your unique expression, there's a sense of freedom. And it's freedom in the way you think, freedom in the way you express yourself, freedom in the way you do things. I hit 50 years old in December. And, there's always this stigma of what 50-year-olds look like, right? And I was like, yeah, that I'm not going to step into that. I refuse to. So I kept saying, right? I was in Sri Lanka, we're celebrating. And I kept saying, oh yeah, 50 is the new 20, 50 is the new 20. Because I feel so free lately. I feel, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm enjoying life like I've never enjoyed it before. Even just walking hand in hand with my husband in a park, I'm enjoying those moments because there's a freedom in me when I understand my glory. And when I'm able to look at him and look in his eyes and see his glory and see his worth. And it just, there's a bond that happens, but there's a bond that happens with you. There's a love that you start having for yourself because Christ is in you, right? I mean, God loves us 100%. He loves us fully. It is unconditional. Nothing I do can change his love for me, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And when I start to see that, within me, when I start to understand that I was created to be Yami, that I was created to be this person, that I was created to be an accountant, I was created to have my hair shaved on the side, I was created to be me, then I was able to start enjoying me. And enjoying me has given me a freedom. And it's interesting because when, I always think of one person when I start thinking about stepping into the freedom. I always think about Philip in Sri Lanka. When I spent time with him, it was New Year's Eve, and we were having a celebration, and he is just dancing. I mean, he is just enjoying himself dancing. Philip wasn't always like that. That's become part of his freedom and his expression. And I can see the joy in his face. I can see when he would stand up on the little stage they had and just, I mean, it was just like full, I wish I had a video, but I mean, it was just that full expression. Well, that's us. That's what glory looks like in us. That's why Jesus says, if we can be like a child again. Because think about a child, right? I think about my 2-year-old grandson when he's running around my house, screaming off the top of his lungs. That's his way of enjoying himself, even though I'm trying to cover my ears. He is expressing himself. There is nothing that tells him that what he's doing is wrong. There's nothing that stops him from acting the way he does or enjoying himself the way he does. And it's when we can be like a child, when we can start seeing ourselves, when we can start expressing ourselves, nothing can stop us, and we can sense the freedom. We can sense his love. We can sense his glory. But then we also have to give people that freedom. So this excites me because as we move forward, as we get into Mysterion, as we have our next facilitator, which I believe is Dr. Carol. Am I correct, guys? Okay. And we start stepping into Ledger of Righteousness, and we go deeper into what glory and expression and love and freedom looks like when we start stepping into our finances, when we can speak into our finances that same freedom and that same glory. And we can understand that in every aspect of our lives, he is there. He is in every aspect, guys. So this is all I have for tonight. I'm going to share what your homework is. Okay. And let me get those questions. There are 2 questions. And I would love for you guys to share on our Facebook page. But here's number 1. So question number 1 is, how would you describe the characteristics of full expression? Think about that. Think about what full expression means. Think about what Jesus's full expression was on earth. And I'm not saying that's your full expression, but just think of what that looks like. And then I want you to reflect, what is your uniqueness in that? And then what is the weight of gold of those around you? So it's kind of a 3-part. How do you describe full expression? What is your uniqueness? And when you think about those around you, how do you understand their weight in gold? All right, Ms. Kaufman, do you have more to share?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, is everybody seeing my screen weird, or is it just me?
You know what? You are beautiful in purple.
I know. Why am I purple?
I don't
I
know.
don't know what happened to my screen.
That's
I guess
just
that's part of my uniqueness, right? It's telling me that I'm
Exactly.
purple.
The
And I'm
lavender
happy.
lady came out tonight.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
oh
ready
my
to
God.
party.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Party at Yummy's house.
Yeah, you know what, Yami, that was really good what you shared. You know, just all of it. And so thank you for that. I do have a little piece that I want to add on to that. And you know, some of you guys follow the price of gold. Well, it is over, it's gone over the $2,000 mark per ounce. And it's quite interesting to me because as I've been watching it, it continues to go up. And we have to think about, okay, why is that? Why does gold keep going up in price? Well, and when you think about supply and demand and that sort of thing, you know, we have to think about supply and demand. And as the demand, you know, well, let me just say it this way, as the supply is rare, the demand goes up, right? Okay, so it reminded me of the commercial for Mysterion, what's rare is everywhere. But here's the thing is that as we, going back to last week's session and how we were talking about, you know, the sacrifice, and as we continue to, you know, step into a thing and continue to pay attention to how Holy Spirit's leading us and to sacrifice, you know, and that sort of thing, it's increasing our self-worth and what we're worth to, you know, the body, to the people, to, you know, the world, and how it will help us continue to bring solutions to the world. And so when you think about gold and you're worth your weight in gold, think about that. Think about some of those things that, you know, we want to look at in ourselves and our full expression, like you're talking about, Yami. I mean, okay, so what is my full expression? Why, you know, there's a lot of full expression in me sometimes, and some of it I probably need to sacrifice, you know, and so to increase.
I think about multiple personalities. I say those are my expressions.
Yeah, right. And so you think about, okay, what are some of those things that I need to sacrifice to increase my worth, you know? So anyway, I just kind of wanted to share that really quick, and then, you know, but yeah, so Yami, thank you. Thank you for all that you brought tonight. And you guys, thank you for those of you guys that shared. And don't forget, you know, to take your homework, post it, you know, post it on your own personal page. Don't forget the tag. Post it on the mentoring page. Don't forget the tag. And, you know, I mean, even if you send it out in an email, you know, like make sure that you, like if you send it out in an email blast to some of your friends or family or whoever, whatever, you know what, don't forget to like copy one of us so that we can track it. And so anyway, Liz, you want to share something about that?
Oh, cool.
Sure.
Yeah, 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 Rose. Yes, so Rose is doing all this hard work behind the scenes. She's amazing at that, and she's keeping this spreadsheet. Man, I'm glad it's not me. And that now it's almost, you know, just to say it up front, despite all good efforts, it's possibly impossible to get it exactly correct for a giveaway. But she's going to give it everything that she, you know, that's what Rose does. But we would also, in alignment, let's say there's some people who are really close in their scores, you know, in their sharing and, you know, with the hashtags and that. So we'll put some consideration into giving weight to quality shares. Quality shares could be something like, like a share with a testimonial, going live, you know, the stuff that's slightly harder, the stuff that's, you know, but that's really cool because you're also giving yourself weight. You're giving this weight, and it's kind of, I'm always thinking about the parable of the talents, you know, I'm given something and I need to multiply it, you know, that's you know, that's it. And, you know, we're here not just for a feel good, although it does feel good, but we want something out of this. I want something out of this. You all want something out of this. So, so I think that's a great opportunity to exercise this thing of weight.
Oh my gosh, Liz, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for tying that together with this session and what Yami shared. You know, that's a beautiful thing. So you guys, yes, please, you know, take your notes, share your testimonies on, you know, what's happening in your life through this, because you're honoring Yahweh for what he's giving you. You know, you know, Jews get up in the morning and they will say 3 things that they're grateful for before their feet hit the floor. That's a thing. And so as you're sharing your testimonies, as you're sharing, you know, your homework or whatever, it's like you're honoring this. And we not only want to honor Yahweh for this, but we also want to honor, you know, Kirby for all the, you know, the price that he paid for this revelation, you guys. And even like with tonight, with what, you know, Yami shared or what Shonda shared last week. And I said Messina's going to share next week, but actually I messed up. It's Dr. Carol. And then the week after that, it's Messina. And then, you know, our wonderful Liz Blake's going to like bring this whole thing home. But you guys, I really want to encourage you just to be leaning into this Mysterion teaching, because we've got to like suck the juice out of it. And I don't remember how Verna said that, but it was awesome. That's like a, you know, a quotable. So Verna, you go, girlfriend. But anyway, you guys, thank you for, you know, hopping on tonight. And again, you know, I'll post the replay. And don't forget to just continue to invite your friends, even if they're non-wowers, because we want to spread the gospel. So
Can
again,
I just
you
share
guys,
some?
yeah.
Sorry,
go-
Rose.
No, no,
For
you
some
go.
reason, I just feel like I should say this.
Yeah.
But for you creative ones out there that are really good with words, even if you create a poem to describe
Beautiful.
for your uniqueness, please do that. Some people do spoken words, do that. We would love to see the creative side as well. Or
Oh.
even if it's a painting, you do some kind of painting to show your unique expression. We would love that when you do this tag to share something about you, but we would love a picture of you. Just because, I sit here and I'm looking at all these beautiful faces on screen and it just brings a joy to me. I know that it would bring a joy to people to
Yeah,
see that in your post.
that's a really good point, Yami, because Grace she'll put some of her paintings out there. Jean, Jean's a dancer. She could do some sort of like creative dance, right? And yeah, the poems and that sort of thing. Yes, beautiful. All right. You guys, thank you again for another week. So I'll get the replay posted probably tomorrow. And then we're on to session 3, and that is Dr. Carol. So you guys, thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Shalom.
Shalom. Oh. Goodbye, birthday girl.
I know.
Good night.
I'm surprised she was on.
I know.
I
I
think she'll be
know.
celebrating.
I know. She's
Bye,
gonna
Rose. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Linda's gonna go have some ice cream now.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
is her way of celebrating.
gosh.